Why and what is uncurated conversations? The why is my fascination with conversation, my fascination with people, my fascination with finding out who are you, where do you come from, why did you make that decision? Stories are important. Our society is built on stories, and it's within those stories where we find resilience and hope. And my goal is that we can find that resilience and hope in each of the guests that I invite over and we have a conversation with. And for me, that is why I am fascinated by not only people, but by stories and conversations. And what is uncurated conversations? Uncurated conversations is a platform hosted by me, Mlamli Mayosi, where I'm going to be inviting guests to have a conversation with me over a coffee. And these guests might be a homeless person, someone I don't know. Could be a friend of mine, someone I know very well. Or it could be someone I see from far and I think that they have an interesting story and I would like to know more. What I do know is that we're going to have difficult conversations. We're going to have fun conversations. And through those type of conversations, hopefully you can find something that resonates with you, within my guest, and hopefully it will be of benefit to you and me. Welcome to Uncurated Conversations with me, your host, Mlamli Mayosi. My guest today is Laura Strugnell. Laura is an artistic swimming athlete who represented South Africa at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics with her duet partner, Clarissa Johnston. In this episode, Laura and I discuss where it all began and also the journey to the Olympics and life after the Olympics. The rest, I'll leave it to Laura. Laura Strugnell. But I think what you're doing, again, back to what you said earlier on, is that indirectly you're actually helping them set boundaries.
Yes, which is what I didn't have. And I realized a lot of things is I would like to be the person to do the things that I didn't get to have, that I had to figure out on my own. Or every now and then had a coach to help me figure that out a little bit along the way. Sorry. And being like the person to do that for other people, other girls or other swimmers, not just girls, because there's men now as well. But like I wished I had that. You know, so, but I can be that for somebody else.
Yes.
And I can be the, all the international exposure and the international coaches that I've had. It's empowered me with the knowledge to be able to pass it on. And so that's what I would like to do. Do that for this country or these swimmers. And hopefully in a way that's healthy.
Yes. Matt, can I get tissues, eh?
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Laura, this is it's your story, and it's something that you're passionate about,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I think what you're doing is you're breaking that cycle.
Yeah.
You know, as you said earlier on, the abused become the abusers. You know, and I believe that what you're doing, having done the work for yourself, and be able to then have that positivity that you're pouring out into the kids.
Yeah, trying to. I have to watch what I say sometimes and how I say it.
But that's also normal, because they need to realize that you're also a normal human being who's got emotions, who's got feelings, and who can also be expressive. And if you're saying something, it's okay. I think this world that we're growing up in, where we have to be prim and proper, and you can't do this, you can't do this, and that's where I think issues sometimes tend to arise.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I think so. So I think just going into coaching and just wanting to empower people with the knowledge and the work that I've had to do to get the knowledge, to be able to pass it on, and that was the reasoning for wanting to go to the next journey and train. Wasn't for me anymore, because
Yes.
I'd done that for me.
Yeah.
It was to continue to learn, because there's so much to learn from so many different coaches and different situations, and you don't really learn until you're in it and you do it. I've learned so much from the coaches that I've had, and it was literally the road to Tokyo and this road journey now that I've learned the most I've ever learned. So
this was university for you, proper university, on the ground, hands-on.
And I will, it's so valuable. And, and they were like, when they swam, they were like, we can't believe it. I can't believe it.
How important is it for a athlete that you're coaching to believe in that plan?
So important. It's so important. And it was quite hard. We had many conversations. I had to repeat to them, why am I doing this? Why do I want XYZ? Why do they need to focus? Because we don't have a lot of time. That kind of thing. And now they swam, and I said to them, do you see that I had a plan, and do you see that it worked? Do you trust me now? Does it make sense why we did all that training and what I say you need to do?
Right.
Yes. Now they're going to be different athletes because they trust the process.
Right.
It's always hard to trust the process.
Well, first they're going to trust you,
idea.
right? Yeah. They never know.
So they trust me enough that they know my results for myself.
Right.
So if I didn't have those results, they wouldn't trust me for myself. So now they trust my coaching. And Jess was part of it as well. So Jess is coaching as well. So now they trust, okay, she knows what she's doing. Before they swam, they asked me but these girls have, what's their difficulty? What's our difficulty? I said, don't worry about it.
Is this the athletes now?
Yeah.
You're athletes.
You're going to swim now. Don't worry about it.
How old are they?
15 and 16.
Okay.
Yeah. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. Trust me. Just trust me. And it's really hard to say, just trust me and they must just trust you. But after they swim, they saw.
What are some of the conversations that you have with them that you sort of want to calm down their nerves, calm down the anxiety before they swim, but also during the training sessions you're having with them? Because I'm sure, as he's saying that trust me, but half their mind is on.
Oh yeah, coming from a club, a culture where they were emotionally abused without really realizing it, and where the coaching, they don't really know what they're doing, and they don't know what they're doing at all.
In what way? When you say they don't know?
They don't understand, they don't have a strategy, they don't plan. For one, they don't plan. So if you don't plan, how can you know what the outcome is going to be? If you don't plan it, and if you don't stick to the plan as much as possible.
And this they were supposed to receive from the club, that the coach in the previous club.
Yes, and also just the knowledge of technique and the knowledge of training and periodization and all of that. Like, I have no idea. There's no certification in, not really, in synchro.
So in your conversations with them, keeping in mind their age, what are you saying to them as to why we're doing periodization? What is periodization? Don't tell me. You don't have to tell them what periodization is, but I mean, you have to explain to them and sort of
So
get
I didn't really talk about the plan too much because I just explained, like, okay, like I showed them the plan.
Right.
And unfortunately, it didn't really go to plan because... Which is life. Because of more so the factors of them, like sick, and I can't come to training because of schoolwork, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. So it was really, we struggled to get them to train, and I kept telling them, you say you want this, but you're doing this.
Right.
What you tell me and what you do are two different things. So you either need to lower your expectation to meet your actions, or you need to do your actions to meet your expectations, to constantly remind them of that. Okay, but you told me this, but you're doing this. Respecting my time, coming late to training, and we don't have a lot of time.
Already, because you got to get back home to study and schoolwork.
Exactly, and we've only got 2 months, and we only have 2 days in the pool. Like, you need to be here and ready by the time we get in. We've got this amount of time, understanding that this is what we're doing. This is the warm-up, this is the thing, this is what we do, everything has its time in the session.
Right.
And this is what we do, and we try not to deviate from that unless we really have to. And so if you're late, then we miss the warm-up. And if you're late, so explaining to them the strategy of their routine and why I've chosen a more simple routine. Because
routine as in what they're going to be
swimming. Yes.
They're going to be judged on competition day.
Yes, so we made it simple so that we can execute it well. And previously it's like, we've got to make it as hard as possible because that's what the rest of the world does. Except that's what the rest of the world can execute.
Right.
That's what they train for.
Right.
So resetting their expectations, like teaching them how this is what this means, trying to teach them more.
Right.
Trying to make them think more and understand more as adults. Like, you're 15 and 16 now. This is what I expect of you. When you arrive at training, this is what I expect. Now, what are your expectations of me as a coach?
Right.
And then we're like, what? Like, we actually get to tell you what our expectations of you. We expect you to be there for us. We expect you to have a plan. We expect you, those kinds of things. But they didn't have any expectations because they didn't know what to say.
Right.
And then I explained to them that your parents pay me. They have an expectation of my work. So I have to meet their expectations. I have to make you good. So it's teaching them to be more mindful first.
Right.
Before anything.
Right.
And
again, I think it comes back to what you said in the beginning, where you said that now that you're coaching, and if you knew these things that are now quite beneficial to you right now, and you're saying that if you knew these when you were 16, 17, life would be so much easier for you in terms of your career.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're doing those things already to them in terms of empowering them to make decisions and be self-sustainable and, to take accountability also.
Yes. I mean, I realized, which was very hard for me, was not everyone. You see, I was always like that. I would always arrive and I would start and I would do, and I didn't have to have somebody to tell me what to do.
Right.
Always think, be proactive. Try. That's just naturally, and I get that, I guess, from my mom or whatever.
Yes.
So, but what I've had to understand is that not everyone is like me.
But I think what you're doing, again, back to what you said earlier on, is that indirectly you're actually helping them set boundaries.
Yes, which is what I didn't have. And I realized a lot of things is I would like to be the person to do the things that I didn't get to have, that I had to figure out on my own. Or every now and then had a coach to help me figure that out a little bit along the way. Sorry. And being like the person to do that for other people, other girls or other swimmers, not just girls, because there's men now as well. But like I wished I had that. So, but I can be that for somebody else.
Yes.
And I can be the, all the international exposure and the international coaches that I've had. It's empowered me with the knowledge to be able to pass it on. And so that's what I would like to do. Do that for this country or these swimmers. And hopefully in a way that's healthy.
Yes. Matt, can I get tissues, eh?
Sorry.
No, it's fine, Laura. This is it's your story, and it's something that you're passionate about,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I think what you're doing is you're breaking that cycle.
Yeah.
As you said earlier on, the abused become the abusers. And I believe that what you're doing, having done the work for yourself, and be able to then have that positivity that you're pouring out into the kids.
Yeah, trying to. I have to watch what I say sometimes and how I say it.
But that's also normal, because they need to realize that you're also a normal human being who's got emotions, who's got feelings, and who can also be expressive. And if you're saying something, it's okay. I think this world that we're growing up in, where we have to be prim and proper, and you can't do this, you can't do this, and that's where I think issues sometimes tend to arise. Right?
Yeah, I think so. So I think just going into coaching and or just wanting to empower people with the knowledge and the work that I've had to do to get the knowledge to be able to pass it on, and that was the reasoning for wanting to go to the next journey and train. Wasn't for me anymore, because I'd done that for me. It was to continue to learn, because there's so much to learn from so many different coaches and different situations, and you don't really learn until you're in it and you do it.
Tell me something, while we're there, how many other African countries do synchro besides South Africa?
So there's only us. Well, now there's more, but at the time it was only Egypt and South Africa.
Okay.
And how it works is that each continent qualifies a team of 8 swimmers.
Okay.
And then of those 8, 2 will swim a duet.
Right.
So they'll swim a team and then a duet. And then the second best country gets a duet.
All right.
So technically, South Africa gets an automatic qualification.
Why?
Because we're the second best duet. We don't have
I
have 8 people
I see.
compete.
Because it's just Egypt and South Africa that are the only 2 countries
so
on the continent.
Technically, then that, but they weren't going to send us because they,
for whatever reason.
For whatever reasons,
right.
not gonna go. So I retired, and then
And what were you doing during that time?
yeah,
when you
living my best
retired?
life.
Really? Why? What was happening?
I think because I decided like I'm retiring, so I was excited to do other things, and I was just spending time with friends and doing all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I was actually really happy.
How old are you now at 2019 when you retired?
How old was I? 2019. I was 20. Really quick maths.
What year were you born?
1992.
92, so 2022 you'd be 30, so 2 years. So you're 28.
28.
Right.
Yeah. So it's 28, and yeah, I was just enjoying being free.
But what were you doing? I mean, you were not just a synchro athlete, you were doing work.
Oh, I was coaching.
So you're already coaching at that stage.
Yes, I was
Okay.
coaching since 2017. 2017,
Okay,
I was coaching.
right.
So I then, started taking on more coaching and just,
Because you guys are not paid athletes.
No.
You don't get paid to
No.
synchro. This
So
is
it wasn't as intense as it was now. I mean, we would train maybe like 3 hours a day. And then? Yeah, back then. And then maybe 1 hour of gym. So
Okay.
maybe 4 hours if we were lucky.
and how many days in a week, roughly?
I think like 6 days.
6 days in a week.
a
Okay,
week,
either land or in the pool.
Yeah, and it wasn't a lot. Like the intensity wasn't a lot, and it was just kind of like never had a plan. Every day was just, we'll just do this.
Okay, because people think, 4 hours of training.
Yeah,
People would think
it's
a lot of training.
It was like 3 hours. By the time you get in, it's like 2.5. And then we always finished early, so
Oh dear. Okay.
it was never really 3 hours in the pool. And
Right.
and then I used to do a gym session with Ty.
Right.
And so that was a session,
Okay.
an hour session. That was pretty good. But it wasn't intense like
Right.
it was now. I always actually used to do extra training on my own, like fitness or, more training on land or whatever. And
Why did you feel that you need to do that extra stuff, even though you're...
I think because I knew it wasn't enough.
Okay.
It wasn't enough training.
Right.
So, seeing those other girls and what they do, it's not enough. So it's like I had to do more.
But now, doesn't that make you... Because as you said earlier on, with synchro, whether you're in a duet or in a team, you have to know your other teammates' moves and be able to sort of preempt their moves. And so if you now, by naturally, because you're training more, you become stronger.
Yeah.
And now you become the strongest in the team. Now in the pool, are you not getting either frustrated, or you're actually doing more than what your teammates are doing, and then they may be thinking something else about you? What's the dynamics there?
Yes, it did cause a lot of dynamic shift, I guess. But I was always told, like, you're wrong, and it's always putting me down. So I think the only way to try and combat that was to put you down as a swimmer. So your confidence was like down here, and you just think you're worse. Instead, you don't actually realize like, oh, you're better or you're doing better. It's just negative all the time. And so, you're always in the wrong. And
that was also one of the reasons why that sort of pushed you over to say, listen, 2019.
Yeah, I'm done. And I had a lot of, and that came up, a lot of those issues came up in insecurities, came up in training with Clarissa and Vicky, that we had to work through, that I didn't really understand what was what I was feeling, why I was, and like I would have like these little outbursts of like, I'm not wrong, but actually I was wrong. Let's say with Clarissa and them there.
Clarissa, okay, so just to put into context, Clarissa is your partner for the Olympics now.
Yes.
Right.
So when and Vicky was my coach for Olympics.
Right.
So when eventually we swam together there, and I was in wrong, I would get and I still have to work through it, but I would get really upset because I would get really upset, or like, let's say I wasn't in the wrong, like she didn't know who was wrong. She wasn't even really directing it at me, but I would be like, but I'm not wrong, and like get really, really upset about it, and worked up about being wrong instead of just taking the crit and working on it. I would like argue back, and it's still a thing. Even recently with Cece, she had to sort of call me aside on 2 occasions and tell me like, I'm here to help you, and if I tell you you're wrong, you're wrong.
Right. And
I don't want to hear a whole conversation about it because we don't have time for that. We need to carry on, Whereas, and I'm getting so worked up, but it's because of my past experiences instead of just, and Jess can take criticism so well, and she just, okay, or like the corrections, not criticism, the corrections, well, okay, and redo it.
Right.
Okay, redo it.
Right.
Okay, redo it. And I would get so upset that I'm wrong.
Right.
And it's just, you need to take the correction, fix it, and carry on. But I was getting emotional about it.
At the time, when you get that emotional and your coach is pulling you aside and saying, listen, let's get on with it, how are you feeling at the time? Are you feeling like...
Angry.
Okay. Oh, you're still angry and you're still like feeling that I'm
frustrated
right.
And I'd never really been in a coaching situation where, like, in South Africa, it's normal for you to be able to talk back to the coach. When they're trying to correct you, you talk back to them.
You're talking about in South Africa?
Yes.
That's a normal culture.
It's a normal culture. And when in the rest of the world, you don't talk back to the coach, purely because, not because the coach is being mean, because we don't have time to sit and talk to the coach. I'm telling you the correction. I'm here on the pool. I'm trying to help you. That's the end of story. I don't want to hear, if I need to know more, I'll ask you. So it's purely a time, and I'm here as the person on the side to help you, to give you corrections. And so it's completely foreign, and I'm also so used to coaching myself.
Okay.
It was something that I had to really work on, or still work on, is like, because I've been having to coach myself, correcting myself like I know more.
Right. I hear you saying.
I
hear you.
So these are the type of things that you don't realize you create until it comes up elsewhere.
So 2019, you decide, okay, I'm done with the sport. I'm just gonna have a life,
Yeah.
a life again. Spend time with friends and whatever. And then, so what's happening now?
Then one of my clients in February 2020 asked me, what's happening with synchro? Are you going to the Olympics? And I was like, what? I was like, no. And they're like, well, water polo is going. And I was like, well, if water polo is going, then synchro is definitely going, because we're always on the same thing. Like, if they're sending water polo, they're sending synchro.
Hang on. February 2020, Olympics are in that same year?
July.
July?
Yeah. So,
and you retired the previous year?
Yeah.
But
no, because they told me we weren't going.
So you haven't been training, doing any swimming between your retirement? When did you retire?
July. About August.
August. So for a good 6 months, you've just been swimming for fun, basically, and not
really
swimming with
anything.
a focus on training. Okay.
And then I asked around, what's happening, and they still told me nothing. Don't get your hopes up. They're not sending synchro. okay, well, they're sending water polo, so they must be sending synchro. And eventually I found, Penny Haynes at the time was the head of the athletes committee, and she helped me find out that, yes, they are sending synchronized swimming.
Penny was sitting in the SASCOC or Swim
Swim
SA.
South Africa, and FINA. She was on the board for FINA as well.
Right.
So she had more intel and helped me out with that. And and then I didn't have a duet partner at the time because I'd left my duet partner
when you retired
in 2019.
That's right.
And she had another partner.
Okay.
And then
so she still had she still had dreams of carrying on with synchro and stuff like that.
Well, as far as I know, she was also going to retire, but that's her own thing.
But she found a partner, and then she was going her
and
own
then
way.
they were going to go in our place.
Oh, okay, right.
So I heard that I had declined the spot for Olympics, which was also news to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
this is happening now, February 2020.
Yes, February 2020.
Olympics are 4 months away.
Yeah.
Right.
It's close. It's so close. And our nationals was 10 weeks away.
Okay.
At the time.
Right. Of you finding out all this.
Yes.
Right.
And so technically they had to have a qualification competition. So you only qualify South Africa's spot. So technically in 2019 we qualified the spot.
But
so
the
I couldn't
people
really
going
fight
to
that.
the spot.
Yes, so then the people going to the spot technically need to swim again, and the winners then take the spot.
And this would be your national competition,
yes.
nationals.
And that was 10 weeks away.
Right.
So a lot of politics, and I couldn't go, it wasn't going to happen, going back to my old partner.
So you had to find a new
and my
partner.
old coach, yes. Right. And, well, I'm just going to say it. I don't care, actually.
Right.
Basically, I gave the coach an opportunity to tell me the truth.
Okay.
I knew everything because I'd seen the emails to Swimming South Africa and so forth, and she didn't. She still lied to my face. And, I begged to be the reserve. In that team because I understood that they had a duet.
Right.
And I left.
Right.
But I said I'll train as a reserve, and at nationals they can pick the best two, fair and square, because there wasn't really any other competition for a duet. They were the only ones. She didn't like that idea.
Your previous coach,
yes.
That is, right, before you retired at that club that you're swimming at.
Yes, right. She didn't like that idea, I guess because there's too many variables.
Okay.
It could be me and the other girl, it could be me and...
Right, the other, your former partner.
And whatever. Right. So, anyways, the conversation didn't really end well. And by the end of that conversation, I had already decided in my head, well, then I'm going to find my own partner and I'm going to beat you.
Okay.
I didn't say any of that, but that was my thinking.
Right.
Literally my thinking was, I'm going to find somebody to swim with me and I'm going to beat you.
Tell me.
Or at least I'm going to try.
Right. At that stage, was there anything in your head saying Olympics?
Yeah, I was like, this is my dream, this is my opportunity.
Okay.
Finally, it's going to happen. I want to go.
Right. So you believed at that time that actually I can take that spot, the Olympic spot. Apparently,
I believe that. When I look back at the videos, and we had 10 weeks and we had no coach, I actually am like, what were we actually thinking? I looked at those videos, I actually sent them to Clarissa because it came up in my memories. And I was like, what were we thinking? But apparently we thought we could do it. And we did with time.
Yeah, right,
so,
right.
At one point in that journey, we were starting to doubt ourselves in the qualification to beating them. And somebody said to me, but when you started this, you believed you could do it.
Right.
So you need to go back to that feeling of, Otherwise, you wouldn't have started it. If you didn't think you could do it, you wouldn't have been here. So I'll never forget that. If you for 1 second believe that you can do something or that it can work, then you believe it. Otherwise, if you think about it, you don't do it, you don't believe you can do it. So if you don't follow through with a little bit of it, somebody said to me, but when you started this, you believed you could do it.
Right.
So you need to go back to that feeling of, otherwise you wouldn't have started it. If you didn't think you could do it, you wouldn't have been here. So I'll never forget that. If you for 1 second believe that you can do something or that it can work, then you believe it. Otherwise, if you think about it, you don't do it, you don't believe you can do it. So if you don't follow through with a little bit of it.
Laura, you know, it actually, it's one of the things that drives me, you know, because those moments, I mean, I have numerous times where those moments of doubt comes and you think, and then other things, can I do it? Or am I doing the right thing? Or this thing is not making me money right now, but am I in the right spot or whatever?
Yeah, and people tell you all kinds of
and
things.
100%,
You're crazy,
100%.
you know, how do you think it's going to, what if they don't send you, then all of this is for nothing. Well,
and
then it's for
always,
nothing.
But what you're saying is, it resonates so much with me because I've learned along the way, because when you're younger, you listen to people's opinions, and that is the more important opinion than your own opinion. So those other people's opinions, you listen to them and you follow their opinions.
Yeah.
And then, whereas now, the older I've gotten, and I tap into that feeling, because when I was excited about whatever I was doing, and then I believed so much that I could do it, and I was doing it, and then sometimes then it's like, even now with this podcast, I mean, I've been G'd up, yeah, but there's times where you think to yourself,
should I be doing this?
Should I be doing this? You know, am I on the right track? You know, I mean, like, I'm in my mid-40s, and not mid-40s, no. I'm in my early 40s, and
I've just dropped everything to do.
Exactly.
What and you get this little, like, it's like you can't describe it, but it's a feeling, just something, inside. You believe you can do it, even if it's for 1 moment or 1 second, and you take the first step,
100%.
and then you feel like, but I've already taken, I can't go back because I've already, even though you could you're not far enough but you don't, because you still keep believing that you can do it. So that was something that stuck with me, like, well, you believed it in the first place.